Hudson, and yesterday I did leave you with the 6 rules that Miss Wesley had for raising her children. And so today we're going to step on from that and go on and continue on in our devotion. And this comes from a comic strip called Flight Deck, May 10th of 2008. It shows a couple of boys who are talking to their dad about what they're going to give their mother for Mother's Day. The older boy says, instead of just another bottle of perfume for Mom on Mother's Day, we're going to give her a promissory note stating that we will never cause another problem. We will never fight or get in trouble ever again. The dad replied and said, "You really expect to keep those promises?" And when the younger son realized the impossibility of that, he responds, "Dad, could I borrow some money to buy a bottle of perfume?" It's impossible for kids not to cause problems, but it is true that God has designed moms with a caring heart and a loving soul. They said a woman took her 2 small boys and a daughter to see Peter Pan at the matinee on one Saturday afternoon. The tickets were $2.50 each. The young daughter watched as the mother pushed 10 $1 bills under the window and received 4 tickets. The next day, the same mother and her daughter were at church. When the collection was taken, the child saw her mother open her purse, take out a quarter and put it in the collection plate as they passed. The little girl looked up at her mother and in a clear stage whispered, which everyone around could hear, and say, "Mother, church is a lot cheaper than a movie, isn't it?" One of our greatest teacher in Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 8, the preacher, Solomon, and he wrote this, he would say, "Do not forsake the law of thy mother." The law of your mother, unwritten but indelibly stamped upon your mind. It's the law of love, kindness, of selflessness, and of giving. Motherhood, just think of the blessings and joys, sorrows and challenges, and the triumphs. There's no greater ecstasy than holding her newborn, and no greater anguish than the broken heart a child may cause. A mother's love is the nearest thing on earth to God's love. The wisdom of God is exhibited in motherhood. We are not the byproduct of some impersonal biological process. We were not made out on an assembly line by the combination of chemicals. Our mothers nurtured us and formed an intimate relationship with us before we were even born. She jeopardized her life for us. The greatest lessons we have ever learned have come from loving, caring, sacrificing mothers who were always available to us. A woman's greatest, most fulfilling, and far-reaching role is expressed in motherhood. Let us thank God for Christian mothers. Let us be sensitive and grateful, not only on Mother's Day, but every day of our life for our mothers and also the mothers of our children. What a mother cannot stand, she endures. In Genesis chapter 21, verse 14 through 19, the Bible says, "And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it in her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. She went and sat her down against him a good way off, as if it were a bowshot. For she said, Let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad where he is." Verse 18 says, "Arise, lift up the lad and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation." And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad to drink. A mother will do for her children by what she sees in them. A friend of mine remembers very clearly the time that he gave his 2-year-old son Steve his very first responsibility. He told Steve to watch Susan, his baby sister. When he stepped out of the room, he had only been gone a few moments when he heard a thump, and then Susan started crying. He rushed back in there to find Susan had fallen from the couch and was stretched out on the floor. Meanwhile, Steve sat there looking very innocent. My friend said, "Steve, I told you to watch her." Steve answered, and he said, "I did." He watched her fall and he watched her cry. He did exactly what he was told to do. You see, being a parent is not easy. Sometimes it is filled with joy and sometimes with sadness. Sometimes your children make you so proud you want to pop the buttons on your jacket. And at other times you can't find enough handkerchief to dry your tears. Exodus chapter 2, verse 2 through 8, the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. She laid it in the flags by the river's brink, and his sister stood afar off, to wit, what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion, motherhood and compassion. A few days ago, I made a marvelous discovery. In the Hebrew language of the Old Testament, the word for compassion comes from the root word womb. The picture is of a birthing. Something new is being born. If on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. Well, thank you for being with us today. That's all we have time for today. Come back tomorrow and we'll go on and this devotion on a mother's place in the home. God bless you. It's Pastor Hudson, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.